Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Edward himself, Omari Ellis, Ayo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host and running mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Chill Bill Smith.
So, hey everybody, hey Omari, thanks for having me back. I love being here. Thank you for having me. I love doing this thing that we're doing where we trade things back and forth. Someone hasn't seen it, the other one hasn't. We make the other person watch it in this world where there are 19 different streaming services and 300 things on each streaming service, as well as YouTube, and still the channels of old TV days, and your entire DVD collection, and your entire VHS collection, and streaming Facebook or Instagram or Twitch,
Twitter.
and everything in between.
Hmm.
Sometimes being sat down and saying, you have to watch this. This is what you're going to watch, is a pretty good thing. And it's nice to have happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And this week, we're kind of going off of something that we kind of realized in a recent thing where we didn't have a lot of sports stuff on our sports channel where the two of us share an interest in sports. So
Absolutely.
we're like, hey, why not? And you had a movie for me because, like we said before, you've seen a lot of more movies that I have, as well as a lot more sports movies. And this week, I believe you had Bull Durham.
Bull Durham. I did have this film, and I did not do any kind of prep
Ah, well, I know it
um
has Kevin
for
Costner and
that. Oh
Susan
yeah, I'm
Sarandon.
gonna get there. I'm gonna get
I
there. I was
know,
just
I'm just
riffing.
helping.
I was just riffing.
Yeah,
It's a
I
Bull
was.
Durham from 1988, rated R. A fan who has an affair with one minor league baseball player each season meets an up and coming pitcher and the experienced catcher assigned to him. It is written and directed by Ron Shelton, and it stars Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, and Tim Robbins. Omari, I picked this movie because it's baseball season coming up, and this is one of those definitive baseball movies that will be on everybody's list. You got you got another Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams. You have Major League.
Yeah,
You
the classic.
have, going a little farther back, you have The Natural.
Mhm.
Um, but this is up there.
Sandlot,
I mean, yeah, then you start to go into kids movies.
but still a
Really
baseball
like
movie.
Rookie of the Year, Sandlot,
Angels in the outfield.
Angels in the Outfield. Those are all Little Big League. Those are all great baseball films. But then as far as adults and just like,
Yeah,
and then really above all, this film is probably the most of just
you better like
it's
baseball.
about baseball. Like it is just kind of uh it centers around our three leads, but yeah, it is
It
its
is a
heart and soul is
baseball movie.
baseball.
Hmm. Moneyball was another, but yeah,
Moneyball's a great movie. Probably now, yeah, it would have never been like, it's not, obviously it wasn't out when I was a kid, but yeah, it's one of those modern movies, modern great sports movies, obviously.
so
Omar,
yeah. So
you're
Bull Durham is the
of all the
one.
movies that I just named, w- you know, are you very familiar with baseball films?
I'm familiar with more of them than I thought, but there are still a couple quintessential baseball films that I hadn't seen, like this one, and still haven't seen, Field of Dreams. I know the line, obviously, because everyone knows the damn line.
What line?
If you make it, they will come.
Not
Or
the
if you
line.
build it, they will come. Whatever. Bottom line is, it's the thing everyone talks about from that movie. The guy, yeah. So I understand the premise of that. I just never got around to watching it. But a lot of the films we mentioned, like your Moneyballs, like some of the other ones, I'm not sure about The Natural though. But I've seen more baseball movies than I thought. This one I would not have seen just because it doesn't sound like a baseball movie. I don't know what it sounded like to me with Bull Durham, but the image in my head was not what was on the screen. I think if you hadn't mentioned it being a sports movie when we got around to it last week, or you're like, hey, we're gonna keep the sports movies going. We got baseball, Bull Durham. Like, okay. I hear Bull Durham, I think like Wilford, someone like a Wilford Brimley mustache, some kind of sheriff in a western, Bull Durham. You know, stay out of this
Yeah.
guy's town. Type shit.
No,
But
instead this is going to be so this is a Kevin Costner lead performance. This is the life of a minor leaguer kind of thing. Ron Shelton, the writer and director, was a career minor league baseball player. He kind of was the Crash Davis of this
uh,
film and wrote from some experience. But that's kind of the jumping off point here. Bull Durham is the Durham Bulls. It is Durham, North Carolina.
yes,
Um and the Bulls are the mascot, and that is the team in this town. And then we have Susan Sarandon, who, as the intro, the little info, she's the aforementioned fan who is a super fan of baseball and very knowledgeable about baseball,
very
and
knowledgeable.
tells us right away in the opening monologue, um
Baseball's a religion to her.
yeah, this is what she cares about most in life, and her way of
Uh,
doing something, of being involved, is that every season she chooses a player to be in a relationship with, and her quotes are that that player will always have a career year. The best year of their career will be when they are with her. And we'll get into it. I mean,
yeah,
she kind of alludes to it. She alludes to the whole
she,
story right there in the
yeah,
opening monologue, where it's not just about the physical aspect of things. Her goal is to make them into better men, not just better baseball players. And she's also pretty smart about baseball as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I know you weren't you wouldn't have been expecting much. So when it started going, when this monologue starting to
Yeah,
rattle
I
off.
believe in the church of baseball. I'm like, okay, who? So this lady, I didn't realize it was Susan Sarandon talking at first
Uh-huh.
until they like zoom out and show her and shit.
You thought it was an old lady? Because you're kind of doing an old lady voice.
I realized that, but I think it's just me trying to do whatever her voice was. But it was weird. I was just like, okay, believe in the church of baseball. What does that mean? But the more she kept talking about it, and that's why I sleep with, one guy every season, and he has the best season. But I also teach him stuff and make him a better man, like you said. She has that whole thing. So I'm just kind of caught off guard just because I barely knew this was going to be a sports movie, and it starts off with a girl that's so religious about sex that she like fucks men into champions. So I'm like, okay, but it cuts to like some dancing old dude at like the local little backyard park. I'm like, okay, this is funny. And they mention early on, classic, the main protagonist team sucks. Man, I'll be happy if they ever win a game type shit. It's another bad year. It's especially a bad year for us. And we see, I think we see Ebby, or at least we see Ebby. We don't get a lot from him. first before we see Crash throwing stuff, and it's like, okay, he's interesting, I guess. And then
Oh
fucking
yeah, we meet him the first time we meet him. He's having a good time with Millie,
yeah, that's right. He's
Susan
fucking Millie.
Sarandon's right hand.
Yeah. Yeah, he's having a good time with Millie, who at one point I had a note. I guess she's raising a mini her because she has a thing through a lot of the early part of the movie where she's like, I'm Millie. And the guys are like, oh shit. And then she'll like give her stats about stuff, like, because she gives Susan Sarandon stats like, oh, well, if he looks the way he pitches, it's going to be all over the place. So and so, so and so, so and so, so and so. I'm like, wow, they literally use fucking to determine your baseball skills. It's like, that's how
Yeah.
serious they are about this.
No,
Uh,
yeah, she is Susan Sarandon's like assistant.
um, Yeah, we eventually meet Crash. I like his first line where they're like, "Who are you?" I'm the player to be named later. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking that he was gonna probably go a lot longer as opposed to like 2 lines later. But I figured he'd go a lot longer without using his name, and then later that happened, just like, call back to the beginning. I'm the player to be named later. I'm the secret guy to do this, that, and the other. But yeah, they tell him he's got to mentor the kid because he's on his last leg as a minor leaguer. He's got to do something. We're reaching out to you because we want you to mentor this kid.
But I mean, it's shitty. Like they tell you, he's the player to be named later in a trade package. Like every time one of those big trades happen where it's like we just traded for Ken Griffey Jr. and we sent 5 people to
Oh, okay.
we sent these 5 people to Seattle and a player to be named later. That's just literally like at some
That's
point.
why he's saying he's the player to be named later.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like at some point, Cincinnati's going to cobble together a list of rejects, and not all rejects, and then like people they don't care about, and Seattle just gets to pick them, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's the player to be named later, but um, Crash is coming from whatever team he was on. He was in their AAA system, which is the last step before the major leagues. Durham Bulls are a single A team, and the single A has multiple levels. So depending on where you're in the single A tier, you could have 3 tiers before you even get to double A, and then you can get to triple A, and then you can get to the majors. This thing that happened forward to the end of the movie, that thing that happens, that never happens. That never happens. No
Well,
one ever goes from single A. There's probably, I mean,
no one,
nothing never happens.
no
But
one gets with Annie in real life.
I'm sure there's, I'm sure there's a couple of folks that got pulled up because they just shine that bright. But it's not this dude
It's
that
not
quickly.
common.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's the real thing. That's the real shitty thing about his character at the beginning there, why he's so pissed, why he's like, man, I
Oh
quit.
yeah.
He's like, yeah,
Fuck this
he got
game.
traded from
I don't
AAA,
like this
and
fucking game.
his new team received him as an extra piece. And they're like, oh, what are we gonna do with this older catcher? Oh, we got that young pitcher down in single A. This dude's been in the game for 12 years. Send him down to be the catcher for that new kid
Yeah.
that that
Help him
that,
learn some
that kind of sucks
things.
right now. Yeah, that's bullshit, and he's really
Yeah.
pissed about it.
Rightfully so.
This is the first time in my watching history. This is the first time that I got Kevin Costner. I he came on the screen, and he comes on the screen late, and I always forget that it's not just immediately a Kevin Costner movie, that he has to be introduced in like the third scene. Uh but yeah, he finally comes in, and I'm like, oh fuck. Oh man, yeah. This guy's sexy. I now I finally get why there was like
Such a big craze about him.
this like 6 to 8 year period where where it was Kevin Costner movies all the time, every year. And yeah, and all the ladies love Kevin Costner. It's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I get it. I finally get it. Like, there's that shot of him in that, and like that brown leather jacket and the baseball bat, and yep, I
Yeah,
was like, all right, yeah, you're a sexy motherfucker. I get
yeah.
it.
So yeah, Abby's a loose cannon early on. They almost get in a fight they get in a fight at the bar. And the whole time, Kevin Costner's just like, I know you. And he calls him meat. But if the first time he said, or first couple times, I didn't hear the T get enunciated. So I thought he was just calling him me, saying, like, I was you once. Like, when he's fighting in the background, all right, me, go ahead, swing. You're not really good enough to do so and so, so and so. Da, 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 da. He's just talking derogatorily to the man so hard, which, ends up being the right way to approach this because eventually he gets through to him. But it's still early on. It's like, dude, I'd be pissed off if I was him too. Who the hell
Yeah.
is you? Coming in
Meat,
here
as in,
talking shit.
I think the game is gonna chew you up and spit you out, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's what he calls all like the rookies, the young guys,
yeah. Go
who's
ahead,
mostly
give
who
me
he's
that
playing
meat.
with
You're
in
not gonna
in
get me with
single A.
cheese like that. You're gonna do. Something about Costner's delivery throughout the movie, like he gives good speeches, much like Annie tells him. Any of his like speech moments kills it. But there are some lines where he's just like, "Fuck this fucking game. I don't care about this. I'm done." And so some scenes I'm like, "What?" And then other scenes I'm like, "Damn, okay, that was a good job to do that." Like when he hit the lady with the "I believe" speech. I believe in this, that, that, and that. I believe in that, but do that, that. And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I'm wet. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's pretty cool throughout the movie, but early on, eventually she decides between she the reason they get in a fight is Annie's like, I need to choose someone to fuck for the season and or teach stuff. But and everyone on the team knows this is what she does. Cause when she has her first night with Ebby, because eventually Costner walks away because he's like, I'm not gonna play your games. Oh, pick them. Who wants to come home with me? Which one of you wants me? Type shit. He's like, I'm not competing with this rookie for you. And so she's like, fine, I'll be with Ebby. And the first night, she just reads poetry to him the entire night.
yeah.
But when he comes in the next day tired and in his like fucking underwear, people are like, he mentions something about Eddie. He's like, my nickname's Nuke. That's my new nickname now. And he says it's my new nickname. Guy comes up, Eddie, fuck you. Oh boy, you're gonna be great this season. Like that guy, he's in a lot of shit. I forget his name, but like the coach's assistant dude.
Yeah, Arliss.
Yeah,
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa,
but
whoa,
yeah,
whoa. Robert Wool.
yeah, he's in a lot of shit. He's classic, the good comic relief character dude.
Yep.
And but yeah, he's like, so that means you're gonna do. So everyone on the team knows this is what Annie does, and it's like a
Yeah.
superstition that has gone through it. And as the movie goes on, yeah, dude and what's his name, they don't like each other. We get the classic thing where they butt heads, but eventually, like when it comes to like pitching and stuff, since they're pitching catching, they gotta be a team. And he's like trying to suggest pitches to the dude. The dude's like, no, I want to do it my way. Why are you saying breaking ball? I want to give him the heat. I'll give him the heater. And he's like, man, you want to give him the heater? Dude, he's about to give you the heater. Which I'm like, that's fucked up.
I mean, yeah, it all depends on
Yeah, there's
like on the situation and the catcher. Um yeah, I in a situation where it is a person 3 games into his career and somebody who has been doing this for 12 years
it's like
and has been in the show, which he eventually reveals. Yeah, that catcher gets to call the game. is the phrase that that baseball would use. The catcher calls the game, and the pitcher does not shake him off. And once you get to the major leagues, that's not really a thing that will happen
Mhm.
unless you have someone like a Yadier Molina on your team. Then, if you're a young guy and you are pitching to Yadier Molina, you better not shake him off. I would not be surprised at all if the exact same thing has occurred in the
In
major
reverse.
leagues in the St. Louis Cardinals in Busch Stadium.
Just like,
Um,
then again, regular season baseball, you got 180 games. You can afford to be like, I'm gonna teach this rook a lesson in week 1 or 2. Hey,
Yeah, and then especially in the minors, I mean, to be honest, the wins and losses don't really matter. I mean, they don't. They do. You want to, you want to win. Winning
yeah,
feels better, and it's usually you get better when you're like, when the vibes are good. Baseball is a very vibey sport, um because you fail so much. um you got to have that positive energy, and then if you're on top of that, on top of losing, failing 7 out of every 10 times individually, if you then also lose the game, uh that's yeah, that's going to be pretty demoralizing over the long term. So you want to win, but at the end of the day, the minor leagues, the win-loss records don't really matter. So you can, there's probably a lot more of that kind of stuff going on,
yeah,
of like, oh, you're not gonna listen to me, all right, hey, heads up, curveball coming.
yeah.
Yeah,
When you speak of me well.
I like that one. I like that one. But then, and then in the first instance, he gives him the fastball, and then the dude stares at it for a little bit, and he's like, "What do you do? I give you a gift, and you and you
Yeah,
insult my pitcher like
yeah. Like, go run the fucking bases.
that."
So it wasn't. So it was semi. It was malicious enough to teach him a lesson, but it wasn't malicious enough to where he's like, "Oh, fuck the teammate thing." Like that's still my teammate, but the kid needed to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And he does straight up tell him. He's like, "Oh, of course he knows. I told him." And then that way, the next time he does it later, he comes over and he's just like, "You told him I was gonna do that, didn't you?" Sure did. Okay.
Maybe don't shake me off next time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
particularly with him, because their whole, like, at this point in the film, it is a team attack strategy. Susan Sarandon has his, like, non-baseball but also still baseball end of his mind, growing him as far as like poetry and
Mhm.
being a man and
Education and all that stuff.
treating a woman correctly, all of that kind of stuff. And while also, incorporating that life advice into being baseball advice as well. And basically creates his new delivery with him.
Mhm.
Like, Crash doesn't do that. The baseball team doesn't do that. That's
She does that.
basically Annie that creates
Like,
the delivery that kind of changes everything, switches the momentum around for him. But and then Crash is going to be his on-field baseball guide, and the
mhm,
two of them together are going to
make this guy the next big
create
thing.
the good baseball pitcher. Um,
Yeah. I do like how she had the weird superstition with the whole garter, wear the garter and all that, that he was so embarrassed to even like have in his pocket or have on, and
yeah.
he willingly lost a bunch of games not putting it on. And then when he finally gets caught trying it out, he's like, and he said it would make me pitch better. Okay. And
And he's smart.
everyone's just like, whatever. And then and like, sure enough, it's like, oh, he's breathing through his eyelids and he's wearing garters. So, maybe that's why he's pitching better. And he's just also like, none of the superstitions in the movie get like questioned by stuff. You got the voodoo bat guy, which even the religious dude, the Christian dude's like, well, I ain't hitting good. Give me some of that. No, you got to be a believer. Just let me touch it. And then Costner walks over like, hey, hook me up. Yeah.
All
All right.
right, for you.
Oh, we apparently got to cut the head off a live chicken. We got to do something. We're going through a lot of things right now. Dad's in the
Yeah, I
audience.
read a trivia note that apparently that was almost entirely that whole thing was improvised. They were just having fun out there, and then it ended up making the cut.
But yeah, so throughout the movie, they do eventually, once he, like you said, he gets his delivery pitch because he used to just pitch everywhere. Like he had a damn good fastball, 95 miles an hour, which that that's
I
not
mean,
good in real life. Is that good in real life?
in 1988, that would be good. That would
Okay.
be pretty good. That would be
Okay.
pretty good. But if you were just pretty good and had the kind of control that he was displaying, you would never continue to have a job. Um uh and you would definitely not be called up in the same season that you set the new minor league record for walks and wild pitches. That wouldn't be happening.
And then
Uh,
while he was
and
actually
then
fixing his pitching, Costner still was telling him randomly, like, "Hey, hit the bull in the head on the next pitch." What? Just trust me. Dude, I don't know where you going pitching. You gotta not swing at this one. This dude crazy.
this dude crazy. Yeah. Um yeah, and if it was in today's day and age with the hyper tuned athletes that we have now, he he wouldn't even make a college team. 95 is like below average.
So what are they pitching now? Like 120, 130?
No.
I don't know. I
No.
at
You
first
could
thought 95 was good. Like,
um no,
be
the
making it
like
on a college team at 95.
the like in the 80s 95 was like was in the high range, and peak level performance is probably uh there's a couple of guys a year that can throw 97, and then there's one guy every 5 years that rumor is he threw a 99-mile-an-hour pitch one day, kind of
Gotcha.
thing. um Now we have probably your baseline average fastball is going to sit at 97 miles an hour. We every single team has a guy on the team that cannot throw a ball below 100 miles per hour. um, we have new records for the fastest pitches ever thrown at, I believe, 104.3, but we've also had 104.1s. We've had 103.9s. Um, uh, Science has already figured out that if somebody can get up to 106 miles per hour, the batter will have to start swinging before the ball has left the pitcher's hand.
So in a couple of years, baseball's going to get real interesting.
It's, I don't
At the way kids are growing these days, like, how old are you? 8. Oh, well, shit, you're taller than I am. They're just getting bigger and faster every year. So,
they're putting it in the milk.
yeah, they're putting it in something. That's for damn sure. They're putting something in something. I don't know what it is, but they're growing. Uh, but yeah, so movie goes on there, gets some success, and then one day, because what's his name, still Ultra Horn Dog 5000 Ebby, and but one day, what's her name's not necessarily in the mood, so she just, how about you just take this sexual liturgy and put it on the field, and then they win. And so he decides, and not only do they win, but he actually pitches well the whole game because he's putting together the whole eyelid thing, which could be Mayan or Aztec. I don't know. I get them confused. That's the gag in there, as well as a little bit of real life. But the bottom line is, he's like, well, if I didn't do it, I'm not gonna fuck. I'm not gonna fuck till we lose. I'm not messing with my win streak. And eventually, Kofner tells him to double down on that. Hey, don't fuck with a winning streak. But what's her name? Sarandon wants to fuck with a winning streak. She wants to fuck everything she, well, not everything, but she wants to fuck badly. And she, so badly, she eventually goes to yell at Costner about, damn it, I want him to come home with me. And, yeah, I need shit too. And Costner's like, you don't fuck with a winning streak. If you knew shit about baseball, you would know that. You don't do anything to jeopardize it. It's your damn fault for letting them start it. And that's when she decides, because she always seemed like she had some interest in Costner, but that is when she reconciles with herself and out loud that she wants Costner instead of him.
Yeah.
But to Costner, and I thought they were about to just do it there, and then the next part of the movie would be the conflict between them. You slept with Eddie. Well, you don't understand. She's just in this for the so and so. You should know this. You're the rookie. I'm the vet. I had to show you these girls ain't loyal. None of that. Instead, Costner just like, I'm fucking leaving. Nah, this ain't happening. Get out of my house. You made your bed, go lie in it alone, bitch. Uh and so she gets mad, but she concedes, and a couple games later they lose anyway.
Yeah.
Emmy comes back, but now she wants to break up with him, but he's trying to introduce her to his dad, and while he's there, no, while his dad is there, Emmy, like I said, he's Ultra Horn Dog 9000. The superstition was the only thing keeping him from trying to go for her. He's like, I don't care if my dad's in the other room. Let's pop one off real quick.
Gross.
Yeah, gross. I agree. But I agree that it's gross, but it's what's to be expected from the character.
Yeah.
And but they get a call, and he's been called up to the majors. He's like, "Oh, I'll take you with me." She's like, "Oh no, baby, that's not how it works. I did my job. You in the majors now." And he actually comes to terms with it real quick because he was getting super attached.
Yeah.
Like she was changing the man to a different person. It's just, yeah, he was still heavily driven by his dick, but it was still monogamously so. It's not like he was sleeping around on her. But he's like, what? And then he put the pieces together in his head, like, oh, it was only gonna be the one season until we. Well, you know what? Thank you for everything. Cool reconciliation, no hard feelings, at least between the two of us. Now let me go tell my new buddy and my new brother figure that I made it to the show. And Costner's just pissed as fuck. Which the more you tell me about like how the movement down that he had works, I understand a bit more of what Costner's problem is with this scene. But at first, I just had the note of what is Costner's fucking problem? Because I'm like, I get you're mad, but you were sitting here this whole time telling the kid how to make it up. And then now you're just like, get the fuck out of here then. Fucking fight me. You don't want to do nothing. You ain't nothing. You ain't shit, beat. And then he punches him in the face on accident. Like, God damn it, I ain't want to punch you. Well, did you use your left hand? Oh no, what hand did you use? Oh, no, the left. Well, that's good. Don't use your pitcher hand to punch somebody. All right, now pick me up. Let's go. And the next day, hey man, sorry about last night. I forget it.
Yeah.
See you around.
Yeah, he was particularly he reveals that the other guy there was a former minor league player. So yeah, that they're like before that scene starts, they are just drinking, they're just attacking that bottle, and they're like, that fucking kid who's he hasn't even finished a single season, they're gonna call him up and put him on the expanded roster. That I did it. I called all those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also probably a part of him that knows what's about to come too.
Yeah.
Because
The next scene that they have with him where
he was this club already didn't have anything to do for him. So they sent him 3 levels below where he was at to mentor some random rookie.
Yeah. Then
That
I was
rookie's
like,
now
oh,
gone.
so that's Costner's problem. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then also there's this whole well, weird wedding subplot going
Yeah.
on.
Happened so fast. Little, just a little B plot scene in the background of another scene of them meeting for the first time. And he's like, "Hey, can I testimony you?" And she's like, "You can do whatever you want to me, boy." And then the next thing we know, they're engaged. And then the next scene we see them in, she's trying on a wedding dress. And then the next scene we
Do
see them
I
in, they're
deserve
getting
to wear
married on the
white?
field.
And she's like, do I deserve to wear? We all deserve to wear white, honey. But yeah, they get married on the field. I'm like, what is this weird wedding subplot, lol? But eventually he gets depressed and he goes over to Andy's house and they finally get together while a song about being a 60-minute man plays. I'm the 60-minute man.
That is an extended scene.
Ah,
They
yeah.
yeah, they drew that one out. It goes they I think they want to show you that they be fucking over the course of a few days. They're going from room to room, meal to meal. We're gonna eat and fuck, bath,
Mhm.
fuck, eat, fuck, sleep, fuck.
And they were going at it. And then, like, they wake up one morning and the cat hops on the bed. I'm like, she has a cat? I've seen
Yeah.
this cat the entire movie. Heard a mention of it, ain't seen a
This is
food
the most
bowl.
neglected cat in the history of film.
And just hops on the bed and walks off. I'm like, oh, she has a cat apparently. Okay. But eventually he leaves because he hears about another job. Maybe that one last chance. He also has like a sub. He also has a character through line where he is secretly going for the most home runs in the minors. He's going to eventually get it if he only needs a few more when he comes back to actually starting for their team. And he doesn't want Susan Sarandon or Annie to tell anybody. He just kind of wants to do it in secret.
Yeah, because he
As
doesn't think it's a very honorable record.
Mhm.
Because yeah, it's like, well, like that all that record is telling Crash is that he spent all that time in the minors, which is the thing that he hates about his career.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, but he gets the record and then he's like, screw it, I'm going back to Annie. And then they get together and they live happily ever after. He thinks about being a
Maybe,
coach somewhere,
yeah.
hoping he can maybe be a coach in the majors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as standout moments go, I do like his little monologue in the bus about being in the show. Just because it's like interesting to see that guy like, oh, I was in there for 20 days. Let me tell you, those are the best days of your life. In the
You
show,
never have to touch your own bags.
yeah, you never had to do this. Do you know you also never had to do this? Every hotel, room service, all or all you want. Da 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 da. And I'm like, and that would be weird to be a professional player for all of 20 days and then have that taken back from you
And never get back.
and never get back. Yeah, baseball, not a friendly sport.
Brutal.
Uh,
It's brutal. It's a sport about failure, and this movie's kind of a movie about failure. Like Nuke is the secondary character, and once he leaves Durham, we don't really give a fuck about him. We give one quick interview. We get one quick moment of him doing an interview on the field
with the
in a big league
cliches he was taught.
in a big league stadium, and that's it. And then yeah, our big protagonist, his story ends with failing and quitting. But that's kind of the game of baseball is trying at it for 12 years and doing your best and succeeding for 21 days. And then I like to think of the idea of a like of just just the crazy old couple that is these two characters in like their 80s as they slowly walk to the stadium every day, still living in Durham, and like they both have way too much opinions that the young kids of the team of that day don't want to listen to. I think I think it's a happy story because of the 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 finding of those two characters that
Yeah,
seem
them
to be
finding
perfect
each
for each
other.
other.
Mhm.
Um, but then yeah, the baseball side of it, it's kind of left with like a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth, but also a like, but that's just baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. The lollygagger scene was funny when the coach tried to like be intimidating. You're just lollygagging like a bunch of lollygaggers, and old dude in the background. Yeah, lollygaggers. But let's see. Anything else?
No, I
No.
think we covered it
Yeah.
all. What'd you think? What were your thoughts of it?
Uh I think you kind of touched on it with the themes about the failure and all of that, and it being ironically happy ending, where it's like it's not happy in the sense that their dreams came true, but it's happy that they at least found something to enjoy about the rest of their lives. They get a new adventure, a new goal in life, each other. So that's always nice. I can see why it's a classic. Like I said, Costner's monologues are all good. I like Robin's whole little development over the course of the movie where he
Uh-huh.
doesn't it's not like he develops to a completely new character overnight, but he does have a lot of growth. Like I mentioned with his whole even the way he handled the Annie breakup.
Yeah.
So I did like his like portrayal there. I like Susan Sarandon's the job she did overall. It was a solid movie. Not sure how often, if often, I go watch it again,
Yeah.
but it's a good movie. I don't have any real complaints. There was no sour taste left at all. It was good.
Okay, right on. Right on.
Yeah, so that is Bull Durham, not to be confused with Bo Burnham. Anyway, bottom line is, what are we watching next week? Did
Well,
we
I guess
decide?
yeah,
Let's
it's
see.
sticking with me. I gave you a few options because we were thinking we wanted to keep it in the sports realm, right?
Yeah.
We're doing a little mini sports series here. And I had a few options, another baseball, something kind of a wild card, a golf one, and kind of to my surprise, Omari chose the golf one.
Yeah, I mean, we
So
already did the baseball. We've had cricket on the channel.
yeah.
Keep the variety up. Why not? Even if
uh,
it's sports we don't watch a lot in real life.
Absolutely, spread the love. Next week we are going to watch Caddyshack.
Yeesh. That is a golf movie. I haven't seen it, but that is a good movie.
It is. It is.
I'm glad I said golf movie then. That's a classic that I haven't seen.
There
Some
you go.
Caddyshack. I'm looking forward to it. You want to see other stuff of ours and see us talk about IRL sports? We got a show every week, every Saturday called You Don't Watch Sports. Two casual sports fans talking about three topics, help you sprinkle a little information into your sports conversation as we're your guiding light through the sea that is sports talk. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube on the Whatever We Want podcast, doing it with a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show, Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
Thank you very much as nature intended. We talk about just that. I also have a Twitter and Twitch at Geotavi. That is GIOTAVI. Come on in, stop on by. And yeah, streaming a lot more in 2024. Bill, you got anything else you want to say to the folks?
No.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week with Caddyshack, the Gopher movie. Adiosness.